Yo, what's up, I'm your girl A1 the Artist, aka I am the Black Sheep.
And I'm your girl Robin.
And today we're going to talk about the shit that people think about,
but don't want to talk about.
Similar thoughts.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast.
14 down, 4 to go. We are doing fabulously, and if you're still listening, we greatly appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's the first of the month.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Y'all got paid?
Come on. Definitely.
A lot y'all got your paychecks, got your food stamps. What you get today? Let us know.
Man, how about that stimulus though? We should be getting that. How about that? That little extra money for being a parent. Let me get that off you.
Yeah, get your little stimmy in me. I know you're getting the the extra $300 for the kids. That's happening now. Yep. So I hope y'all are using money wisely.
Yep, investing for me. Got to get my money up to make more money. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, we are taking our coins. Okay. Man, I can't believe it's September. Time is flying.
It is. This year, I think, went by a lot faster than last year. It's crazy. It's like the years are just flying by, and pretty soon we're going to be flying around in spaceships.
Oh my God, let's start with these conspiracies. We were supposed to build this spaceship. Where they at? Where are my spaceships? I'm tired of waiting.
The Jetsons? Definitely. All right.
Okay, guys. So if you are tuning in today, you can see from the title of this episode, we're going to be talking about parenting.
For sure. Oh, that's a good one. So, parenting. Okay, so there's a couple of different type of parents you can be if you're a parent. You can be a biological parent, or you can be a bonus parent, like with a blended family. You might have gotten married or not married, and you just had a girlfriend or boyfriend for a really long time, and they have kids. So you still, if you're accepting the boyfriend or girlfriend with kids, the kids are yours too. So there. So how do you feel about all that? Because you are actually married, you just had a baby, and you have 2 bonus children. So how do you handle everything?
How do I feel? Not playing. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a lot, you know, because I'm 26 now. When I met, when I started dating my husband, I was like 21. I was 21. And he had the 2 kids, and I knew about the 2 kids, and I know I didn't want to deal with a man with 2 kids, which is why he was just supposed to be a hookup, a little friend with benefits. But then I caught feelings, and I'm not gonna lie, it was hard, and it was awkward in the beginning stages, because you know, I really fell for him, and I really loved him hard, and I knew he's an excellent father, and he's definitely a big part of his kids' lives, and they're a big part of his life, and I knew that, and I appreciated that, and I wanted to meet his kids. And it took a long time for us to actually build a relationship, me and his kids. And I still feel that our relationship wasn't that strong, because once we moved in with each other, the relationship with the kids did become forced. I know I said that in previous podcasts. But yeah, I did feel like the relationship became forced. But as the years have gone by, you know, our relationship has gotten much better. And, you know, they have a little sister now, and I think they like her. I don't know. Because their mom just had, he just turned 1. But their mom just had another boy. So it's all boys. So I think the little girl, and I don't know, maybe they like it. It's a change of pace to have a little sister, but it's great now. We're just one big happy family, but it was hard, and it's still hard. You know, bio kids versus bonus kids. I still am at a place where I don't know what's appropriate when it comes to me, like, being a parent to them. Like, I'm a step parent, but parent is still in the name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is still my home, and I feel like I should have some say in what goes on with them in our home. And, you know, sometimes my husband does some things that I don't agree with, but I feel like it's not my place to tell him how to parent his kids. So that's something that I'm struggling with. I have been struggling with is, you know, what is my place when it comes to my bonus kids?
I think it comes down to communication with your husband, because I used to be in a relationship with a guy and he had a daughter. And when I met his daughter, she was 6 at the time, and she would come over our house and she would take off her clothes and throw them in the floor. And I'm like a neat freak. Like, my house is always in order. Like, if you see something, pick it up. Like, I don't like a mess or clutter or any of the things. And so when she came around, she would just come in and throw her shoes everywhere, her coat on the floor, her toys, and all these things. And I was like, yo, you know, I get that that's how she threw things at home, and that might be cool at home, but it's not cool when she come over here. And I had that conversation with him, and so we kind of worked with her and like, hey, this, when you come over here, this is where you put your shoes, this is where you hang your coat, this is where you put, when you're done playing with your toys, put them up. And so over time, she started to develop those routines. Now, I don't know if how she acted at home. It could have just still digressed when she went home, but when she came over to the house, it got to the point where she started doing those things on her own. So I think it's definitely a conversation that you have to have with him to say, hey, look, I don't necessarily agree with the way you're handling these things. Maybe if we tried this, and don't come in a manner of attacking per se, because at the end of the day, it is his kid, and you don't want him to be like, oh, well, these are my kids. But in the same sense, y'all married, so it's a different level, because marriage is forever. So it's like, we do have to have some level of understanding, and we need to talk about it. So as long as it's not an attack and you come in from a place of care and concern, then it should be received, you know?
Because we had a conversation a few months back. He's gone now, guys. He's deployed. But we had a conversation a while back, and I told him how I would like to see changes. Like, we're a family, I want us to act like one. And ultimately, the kids are going to do what their parents do, right, what they see you do. Sure. And he's a game head. He'll come home and he'll hop on that game and he'll play that game all day. You know what the kids do? They come home, go to their room, and play their games. And I hope you don't listen to this episode. But some things that I don't like is that I don't like being a contradiction. I understand that you're kids and it's different, but then again, it shouldn't be different. Your kids are a reflection of you, so you can't be mad at them for doing something that you're doing. So
right,
he was in school, and my husband, he was in school, and you know he procrastinated. So he'll come and he'll play his game, and then he'll wait till Sunday night to do his homework, right? Or Saturday, wait till the weekend to try to get everything done. And, you know, the kids, they'll come in, and for him, he expects for his kids to tell him that he has homework, or tell us that they have homework. They finally gotten, you know, they figured that out. But there was a point where, you know, they would come home, they'd go to their room and play their games. And then it'd be like 10 o'clock. And then I'll say, we'll finally be like, did you have homework? And then, you know, the kids would be like, yeah. And then he'd get upset. And and I hated that. And I would tell him, like, you can't, they're kids ultimately, you know, they're still kids, like little kids. They're not like middle school age, right, where they know to come home and do their homework. Right. You know, you still have to tell them. I think he has very high expectations for such small children. And then also the fact that they see you doing it, they think it's okay.
Right.
So that's something that I felt comfortable in saying because, it affects them and like their education in the long run. And that's something that's important to me is school education. I take that seriously because, we spend a lot of money on our education, right? So take it seriously.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I don't like when it comes to parent is being a contradiction.
Yeah. So what?
How do you? Go ahead.
What do you feel like your golden rules are as a parent? Either way, like what is the primary moral you want to try to teach your children?
I definitely want them to be respectful and respectable. I want them to take their education seriously. I'm not going to force them to go to college. I know it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do decide that you want to pursue higher education, take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're black at the end of the day, and black people have it harder, right?
Right.
So we have to be the best. So if you're gonna go to school, you gotta go to school and excel. You gotta be good at it.
Right.
But yeah, and just living your truth. And don't fall for my mama said, don't fall for the telling pipe. Don't come. What is the word I'm looking for?
Don't
Try
fall
to
for
avoid
the
peer
bullshit.
pressure.
I said, don't fall for the bullshit.
Like, don't fall for the bullshit. Yeah, have your own mind. Have your own mind. Don't feel like you have to be a part of the crowd. Yeah, and be your own person.
Yeah.
I definitely I can't imagine myself being a super strict parent. But those are just some of the values that I want my children to have.
I think for me, my top three, and this is something I've been training my kids since they were really young, is the three things is have a relationship with God, be educated, and be responsible. Because I feel like that if you have a relationship with God, then everything that you go through and everything that you'll encounter in life will be okay because you have that faith to lean on. Education is self-explanatory, like you said. If you are educated as a black man or a black woman, that does put you in a level playing field with the world. And being responsible, like being able to do your laundry and cook for yourself and take care of yourself and do all the things and not be codependent on someone else and be able to add value to any relationship that you encounter in life. So I've always, like, since they were little, like, I've always had that mindset of I'm going to teach you how to do things, because the more you can do for yourself, the less you can depend on me. So I start teaching my kids how to do their laundry young, how to do their, like, my daughter, we started my daughter and my son doing laundry at 7. Like, let's go ahead and sort your clothes. Yes, sort your clothes. So not necessarily using a washing machine, but like put your colors, your whites, take your clothes, the clothes inside out, the etc. I started my son out cooking on the flatbed at 8. He was making like burgers and like meat for tacos and stuff like that, but it wasn't any fire involved. So I was like, if you use the flatbed, then it's less likely for you to hurt yourself. And so now that man can cook. He can cook something fierce, boy. He ate some chicken the other night with some cabbage and sweet potatoes. I was like, look at you. Like, yes.
Oh, he can cook.
He gets down. He gets down. And my daughter's right behind him. We made some chicken Alfredo last night. So I just always want them to be responsible, like, and it's helpful for me because I'm a single mom. Like, when they know how to do these things, like, it's days that I can be at work and I have to work late. And my son will call me like, "Hey, you want me to cook you some dinner?" And like, they know how to clean up, so I can come home to a clean house and food made because it's just me. And so they kind of help me by taking that load off of me. So I feel like that those are benefits to teach your kids those things. And they help
That's
with like
sweet.
the big dinners, like Christmases and all that stuff. I'll be like done in no time. So I'm like, yes, you do the macaroni and all that,
Listen.
and yes, it's awesome.
I still, I'm still learning how to make mac and cheese. Okay, I'm still trying to perfect the mac and cheese so I can prepare a big old Christmas dinner one day. Cause I guess like that's kind of like well, I don't know, for me. And judging from my experience and yours, that's kind of like the difference in being raised in a single parent household and a two parent household.
Mm-hmm.
You teach them to be a little more self sufficient, so you can, I don't want to say rely on them, but
I just look at it as they're helping me because I can do it myself.
yeah, they help
but
you,
I just feel
yeah,
like you're helping me. Like we help,
and they want to.
right, exactly. Like I'm constantly stressing that we are all we have and in this home, and we have to help each other out because I want them to grow up and be helpful children. I don't want them to feel resentful for helping each other out, but it's like, hey, your brother did this, then you should do this for your brother, or your brother bought you these snacks out of the blue. If you got money now, why don't you do something nice for him? Or just kind of constantly stressing that we are a unit, and as a family unit you are supposed to help each other out. That way they grow up and have that same mentality, and hopefully they'll always want to help each other out.
Yeah. Because for me, the most I ever did was pick some greens for the holiday dinner, right?
Yes.
Like I don't, I honestly wish I could have been more help in the kitchen, but like my dad could, and I didn't necessarily grow up in a two. Okay, let me explain it. My parents were together, and I was living, with my parents. When they separated, I moved with my dad to Alabama, but it wasn't a single parent household because my dad was a truck driver, so he was barely home. So I was living with my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had that two parent
Dynamic
household experience. Yeah, dynamic. That's why, like, things that what was it? No, in high school, like my last 2 years of high school, my mom finally moved to Alabama, and I lived with her, and that was like my first time actually living in a single parent household for real, for real. And, I ended up getting a job and just doing things, and wasn't able to do things that I probably could have had I been in a two parent household. So because of that experience, like I know, like I don't want my kids to have to get a job while they're in high school or in college, because I had a job in high school, my last 2 years of high school, and all throughout college, and I know how hard it was. So I mean, if I'm able to just be like, enjoy your childhood, enjoy college. If you want to get a job, that's fine, but I don't want you to feel like you
need to get a job.
Right. I want to be able to be their sole provider. Like, mom and dad got you. Whatever you need, we got you. I don't want to spoil them. I don't plan on spoiling my kids, but I want to be able to do for my kids what I couldn't get, right? So, I don't know. I don't know. Just saying, I guess, do you think parents want different, like single parents want different things for their kids than two parent households?
I think the dynamic is definitely different because when you have a two parent household, you have shared responsibilities and all the way across the board. So there's somebody that you can lean on to help you with whatever the thing is. Like if you can't make it to a baseball game, maybe the other parent can. Or if you can't go to the brownie meeting, then maybe the other parent can. Or you know what I mean? Like all of the things. Whereas if you're a single parent, you have to try to make it to all the things. And then you have a level of disappointment when you can't, because you're like, well, all the other parents were there, why weren't you there? And so you try to support them in that way. I think as far as the dynamic, because I grew up in a single parent household, my mother leaned on me a lot, but the dynamic was different because I felt like I had to versus me wanting to because of our situation at the time. So I don't feel like it was like let's work together as a team. I just feel like it was expected of me. You're the older sister. You need to make sure the house is good. You need to make sure that your sister is good, and that's it. Because I have to work and I have to do these things. I don't feel like that it was ever set a precedent for it to be equal. Like once my sister started getting older, so let's share the responsibility. Like my mom taught me all the things and expected me to run with it, where it was like in my situation I'm teaching both my kids, so one doesn't feel overwhelmed with the thing. And that could have came from my baggage, because I don't want my son to be resentful to his sister because he has to do all the stuff. So when I find that he's doing more, if he feels like he's doing more, I'll have a conversation with her like, hey, you need to step up. Like my son's working now. You spoke about working in a single home. I feel the same way you do. Like I never wanted him to work, and he doesn't have to work. He still doesn't have to work, but he wants to. Like my son went out, he assessed the levels of COVID and was like, okay, what's the safest job I can have? And so he was like, okay, I want to work at Subway because there's only 2 people behind the counter. They have the glass and everything. He's like, so that's safe, and I don't have to be around people that much. And so I was like, okay, cool. So he went out and did all the things on his own, and he came back like, hey, I have an interview. Can you take me to it? And I'm like, interview for what? And he's like, Subway. I'm like, when did you fill out applications?
He said he's his own man.
Right.
Where the money was at.
Right. So he went up there, and I went and got him a little suit and tie or whatever, a nice little shirt and some slacks and everything. And so he went in there. He was in there for 5 minutes, and they hired him. And so I was like, all right, because I mean, kids ain't dressing up no more. They go in a polo shirt and some khakis. Like, so I was telling them how presentation is key, and the way you look presents yourself for what you want in life. And so even though it's just Subway, he wanted the job, so this is what you need to do. And so he got the job, and he works very hard. He likes his little checks, and so he's saving for his car right now. And I'm like, all of the things. He's so grown up now. It's crazy. But yeah, I think it's different because you have that support system to lean on versus, like, I think when you're a single parent, you teach your kids more independence versus when you are a 2-parent family, you have that room to kind of let them be who they are. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, like, I think when you are single, you kind of have that mindset of, let me teach you how to take care of yourself, like not lean on somebody else. But when you're in a 2-parent home, you have that option to say, you do have, like, and then most people that grow up in a 2-parent home end up being in a 2-parent home when they're older. So it's a repeated cycle to say, okay, this is how I grew up, so this is how I want things. And you have that constant teammate. Just like you said, you grew up in a 2-parent home, and you're in a 2-parent home. And so you'll always have that teammate. So there's always that room to say, I don't have to do everything myself. I can lean on somebody else to help me. Whereas when you grew up in a single home, I was taught to take care of myself. And so I'm teaching my children to take care of themselves. Now, I do promote them to find people and break the cycle. But, if they don't find people, I want them to be self-sufficient.
That's good. I like that you brought up, the expectations that not all, but some single parents put on their kids. Mm-hmm. I, for one, don't like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't either.
Honestly, I don't. And kids really grow up resenting their parents for it. I know my mama knows of this, but, she really relies heavily on, like, my brothers. Before she met my dad, she had 3 kids, and she was a single mom. And, mothers and their sons, especially black moms and their sons. And I think because of those expectations, my brothers may have formed some kind of resentment toward my mother. We all have a relationship with her. We speak to her mom on a regular basis, but still, and she's still a single woman. She never remarried. but she still, I feel like, puts a lot of weight on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, the older they get, she likes to say, like, I've taken care of you. It's your turn. It's your turn to take care of me.
Right.
That's what I say. I mean, I understand it. Yeah. I get it. But it's like you're putting a lot on your kids, and I think the only expectations you should have of your children is to be children, be respectable, and take your education seriously. Go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we should put so many expectations on kids.
Yeah, because
I think that's something.
It creates a lot of issues. Like, it creates a lot of issues. I have a lot of things that I had to work through over the years because of being the expectations that have been set for me over my life, and it's hard. It's hard to break that as an adult.
Yeah, I bet. But I feel like, how do I feel?
Feelings.
I feel like once you get you get older, now that I'm older and I see, she did struggle. I understand and I respect her struggle, but even I personally feel like you shouldn't. Your kids should not be responsible for that.
Yeah.
They
shouldn't be responsible for you, period. Like, at the end of the day, you are the one. Like, yeah, it's nice if they step in and help you out, and yeah, you should teach them to want to help you out. But at the end of the day, if they don't, like, you should be okay with that, like, and let it be that, because they have their own lives to live and their own thoughts too.
Exactly.
It's funny that you should say that when you were talking about, what your mom went through. I heard something that kind of stuck with me when I was in college, where it talked about when you're young, you see your parents as superheroes. They can do no wrong and everything is great and lovely in the world. But when they are adults, you start seeing them as people. And so all of the errors and mistakes and all of the things that they are, the things that make people and people are flawed by nature, you start to see those things. And so you start to look at your parents differently. And it's like, okay, it is mindful to kind of take into account that what they might have been through in their lives. But you still be like, okay, well, I don't rock like that. And it's okay. It should be okay. But, a lot of times it's not. So do what you do. So, yeah. This was
just try to be the best parent you can be, right? That's what, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, is just trying to be the best parent we can be, and I get it.
Yeah, there's no books or nothing. You just figure it out along the way and do the best you can, and you will fall short. But just try to correct your mistakes and be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a good one.
That went by so quick.
It did. I could talk forever.
So guys, tell us on our social media, like, what's it like for you? What's parenting like for you? If you have bonus kids, what are your struggles? What are some morals and values you want to instill in your children? Like, we want to hear from you guys. Like, let us know. Give us some advice. I'm always open for advice.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks again for listening. Right. Appreciate it as always. Bye.
All right, bye. Enjoyed today's topic. Let's keep the conversation going. Make sure you like us on Facebook at Similar Thoughts Podcast, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at _Similar Thoughts.
And also follow me at A1 the Artist. That's AONE _the _artist. And I am the Black Sheep, and that's IM _THA Black Sheep. Thanks again for listening, and you guys have a wonderful week.